Hello everybody, welcome to another Themer solo video. My name is Maggie, I am the Themer half of our channel ThinkerThemer. My partner Amy is the thinker half because she's all about mechanics. I'm obviously all about the theme. I'm also the solo player in the house, so I'm going to be talking about a new game by Stonemaier Games called Rolling Realms. Now, this does come with a full multiplayer mode, and we'll actually cover that as part of our small talk series. But I just thought I'd give a little bit of dedicated time to just go through the solo mode, because it's quite a peculiar one. So let's start out by just talking about Rolling Realms and what it's all about. So Rolling Realms, obviously it's a roll and write game. I was going to try and do a bit of thematic reach, but it's fairly abstract because it's obviously, well, you'll see. But I can say that we're probably like administrators over different realms, and different realms are actually going to be the catalog or all the different titles of Stonemaier Games. So you're going to have things like Viticulture, Scythe, Pendulum, The Society, which is really Red Rising, Between Two Castles, and all of the sort of, amazing hits that come from Stonemaier Games. And so in this game, we're going to be, well, rolling dice to then decide how to allocate these dice to a range of different realms that are going to be in play at any given point. So I'll give you a very brief overview of how it plays. This is not an official or full in-depth how to play. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of videos covering that. I just want to give you a little bit of an overview and then just go straight into what the solo mode is like. So in this game, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to either select or randomly select 3 different realms. So with your realm, so let's say that on our first round, we had Pendulum, Scythe, and Viticulture. The way this works is every realm has its own scoring conditions. And the beautiful thing about this is, obviously, if you're familiar with the games, the way that the realms score kind of is a callback to an aspect of the game itself. So for example, we have here the Pendulum realm, the Scythe, and Viticulture. Viticulture is going to be all about making wine. In Scythe, we're going to have top actions and bottom actions. And in Pendulum, we've got the timers that, can make life very hectic when you're playing the game. So let's do a quick little demonstration of how a round plays. So the first thing we would do is, obviously, after we've selected our realms, we would roll the die. Let's say that we've got a 4 and a 2. We would use our incredible dry erase marker. This is probably one of the best dry erase markers that I've ever experienced that have come with a game. Just because I've used it a lot now, and it's just beautiful. It's smooth. It doesn't seem to ever dry. Hope I don't jinx it, but it's been amazing. So we would just write the numbers 4 and 2 in our very handy round tracker. So this is where we're usually going to be tracking all our 9 different rounds, and then we're going to have 3 rounds, and then the total, obviously, whoever has the highest total of stars wins. So in this round, or in this particular turn, we have a 4 and a 2, and then I get to decide how I'm going to allocate those 2 dice. So I could decide to go, well, I'll allocate the 4 to Viticulture, and the way that Viticulture works is you can allocate a die to one of the, I'm going to try my drawing skills here, allocate it to one of the grapes of the matching die. And then when you do, you get that resource. So you would just be using your resource tracker to circle them. As we spend them, we're going to be crossing them out. And these resources are going to be what allows us to do a bit of dice manipulation. So adjusting the value, or gaining extra, or even making one out of thin air. So the way the Viticulture one, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make wine. The first thing is we have to kind of activate the grapes, and then in subsequent turns, I'm going to be able to use other die to add that die to grapes that have already been kind of activated in previous turns, and hopefully add up to either 10, 11, or 12, and that's how I would then make up that wine, which is going to give me 2 stars. Yeah, but that would be for later in the game, because during any given turn, we're only really allowed to allocate 1 die to each realm. So the other die I might decide to use for a Pendulum, and the way that Pendulum works is you've got these 3 little timers or clocks, and you can either decide to use it to cross out or go along your way of completing one of those timers, or the other option is I can just use it any value to circle one of the resources, be it an actual star, which is eventually the points and the thing that we're after, or any of these combo of resources. And then every time we complete a clock or a sand timer, then we're going to be able to activate everything that has been circled in previous turns. The way that Scythe works is again reminiscent of the Scythe player boards. You've got the top actions and then the kind of bottom actions. And so the way that those work is you can allocate a die to either the top action. So say, for example, if I hadn't used my die with viticulture and I wanted to use it for Scythe and I wanted to apply number 4, I could use the number 4 there. I would get that top resource, which is a coin. And then I have the option of spending the bottom resource, which in this case would be a pumpkin that I don't have, to get that star. The other option with the Scythe realm is you could actually use the number at the bottom. So you can actually go 4, and I'll use it at the bottom here. I wouldn't gain a resource, but then I could actually just pay that price of 1 coin, which I do have. Actually, I wouldn't have had it, but say I did have it, and then that would give me a star. So ultimately what we're trying to do is we're trying to meet whatever conditions each realm has to get as many stars as possible. Interestingly, this is probably the first game where I've seen leftover resources add a value of 0.1 of a star. So you end up with decimal values. So you might end up with a score of 10.2 or 9.7 and things like that. So that's a bit of an overview. And obviously, in every single one of these realms will play differently or will score or have different kind of scoring conditions. So that's essentially how the basic game works. That's how the multiplayer works. You could play it solo that way. You'd go through those nine turns and you do that 3 times. So you have your 3 round kind of totals to then add up. So now let's talk a little bit about the very unique and peculiar solitaire mode that comes with this game. As I said, you could play it, the same way as the multiplayer, but they also included a campaign that is a mini golf themed campaign. And the way it works is you get this beautiful tracking sheet, which this one is actually paper or cardboard, I should say, which means that if you do fill it out, you're going to have to print additional versions, which you can download from the Stonemaier website. But it's not a dry erase sort of surface. And I can sort of see why they did that, because it is very reminiscent of, when you go to mini golf and you get the little pencil and the little pad to track all your hits for every hole. And so the way this works is this is essentially using all of the different realms and turning them into essentially Lego bricks to create this experience, this campaign experience of 18 different combinations of realms with different challenges or scoring conditions for each one. You have these hole cards, and so each hole is going to determine, it's its own little challenge, and it's going to present you with what realms to use. So for example, the hole number 1 calls for Charterstone, Scythe, and Tapestry. And then it's going to have some specific rules or changes to the rules. And then it'll give you a score to aim for, either for normal or easy or for hard. What you're trying to do is each hole has been given a par, and the par of it is how many attempts it should take you to complete it, to successfully meet that challenge. And so the way you're going to track that on your sheet is you're going to be able to just write what score you got. And then if you actually manage to meet the conditions, you would underline that score, and that becomes your number of tries. That's how you kind of track the number of tries. That was your par for that, or that was the number of hits that it took you to get that hole. If you don't succeed, then you would do it again. So you do a second attempt and a third attempt. If you still can't manage to meet the challenge by the 4th attempt, then that's the end of that hole. You just put a 5 as your score and you move on. The beautiful thing about this is even as a themer, and I love obviously immersing myself in the theme, and this is not necessarily a thematically immersive experience, what I have noticed is I do love a campaign mode. And this one is just so beautifully creative, what they've managed to do with all these different sort of scoring conditions and realms, and then the way that they've brought together these different challenges. And for example, I don't want to spoil it too much or give too many spoilers in terms of what the holes do, because it is quite a nice little experience, but just I'll give a very small spoiler. One of my favorite ones is a Sudoku, which is, instead of like Sudoku with a SU, is pseudo, like a pseudonym. And so the way that that works is they actually get you to use multiple cards of the same realm across different sets from the box, and create almost your own little Sudoku grid, where you're still trying to meet the same conditions of Sudoku, of trying to not double up the same number either in the same block or in the same row or the same column. And that's just one example. Some of these holes are so creative and so difficult. I am glad that I kept sort of a separate track as I was going through them, because I don't actually want to permanently mark things or destroy things. So the fact that this is cardboard, I sort of struggle with. I don't really want to mark it, and I don't want to laminate it. I'll keep track separately, and I'll keep this beautifully and clean. But I'm glad that I did keep it separate, because it's really embarrassing how many holes I had to just bow down and go, nope, that's going to be a 5, because I did not manage to get it in the attempts that it was suggesting. So overall, I would say that this is, if you like abstract puzzles, if you enjoy variety, there is so much variety and so much game in something that is fairly simple. Obviously, there is dice rolling. There are plenty of ways to kind of try and manipulate the dice with those resources. But all in all, I just found it a real joy and just a delight to play through. It also plays really quickly, not if you're doing the whole 18 holes, but every hole or every attempt or every game feels like it plays fairly quickly. And it's just a beautiful variety of things that are going on. So I would say if you like roll and write, if you like that sort of efficiency puzzle, or trying to aim for those challenges. I know some people don't like a beat your own score type scenario, but with this one, I think the thing that grabbed me is one, campaign mode. So far, 3 out of 3 of the Themer solo videos have had a campaign mode, and that's the bit that has really captured me. So I'm sensing a theme here, but I think just the fact that it has all of this variety within just the same set of cards, it's just astounding to me. So all in all, even for someone that doesn't usually enjoy abstract roll and writes, I have to say I really enjoyed my time with this game. And I think in big part it's because it's not a thematic experience. Even the mini golf thing, it's beautiful in its execution, but it's so much more about all these different puzzles and all the very creative ways that they have managed to bring these to life, and how they've, again, they're like Lego bricks that all of a sudden, you find yourself going, oh, this is a completely different puzzle. How do I meet this challenge? And how do I get the score that I need, or meet the conditions that I need? And some of them are super hard, but I found it to be super fun. So hopefully this video has helped give you an idea of whether or not this is the type of game that you would enjoy. Make sure that if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you can be notified whenever we publish any new videos. And make sure that you check out our upcoming Small Talk, where we'll also be covering the game from a multiplayer point. Thank you so much, and bye for now.